the misconception that I think a lot of people have about what I do is that, people come to me on what is very often the darkest day of their life. And it's not simply, a matter of hiring a lawyer to get you compensated and move on with your life with some money. It's about, building back the pieces of your life that have kind of been torn down due to an accident, and mostly the things that weren't expected, like how to care for your children, how to earn a living, how to get your car repaired, something as simple as that.
Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Joseph Taylor is the managing attorney at Raphaelson Levine, a personal injury firm that's been operating for over 30 years, representing seriously injured people throughout New York City and across all 5 boroughs. Joseph oversees a team of 12 lawyers handling construction accidents, motor vehicle accidents, and premises liability cases. What came through immediately in this conversation is how personally Joseph takes the work. He talked about attacking the stigma around personal injury law, the idea that it's just about money, and reframing it as what it actually is, being there for someone on what is very often the darkest day of their life. On the technology side, the firm made a strategic move during COVID to migrate the entire case management system to a Salesforce-based platform, specifically because they saw that future technology was going to require that kind of infrastructure. Now they're using AI for medical record review and document analysis, catching details in thousands of pages that a human reader would miss. And despite being a 30-plus year firm, Joseph told me that they're in the most rapid state of growth right now, largely because of how they've been able to leverage technology for marketing and operations. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen with Satoricoach IO. Today I'm joined by Joseph Taylor of Raphaelson Levine. Thanks for joining, Joseph.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. And go ahead and please jump right in. Give us a overview from a high level of what you do at the firm.
Sure. So I am the managing attorney at Raphaelson Levine Law Firm. It's a law firm that's been in business for 30 years, 35 years. We represent seriously injured people throughout all of New York, most particularly within the 5 boroughs. And I oversee a team of 12 lawyers at the firm. And all of the lawyers at our office are specifically dedicated to a particular individual client and group of clients who they represent for various forms of negligence accidents around the city, whether it's construction accidents, motor vehicle accidents, or premises liability accidents.
Gotcha. So for this is definitely one of these areas of laws I like to ask this question. Your clients are not sitting on your side of the table to know what you know and to see what you see. What would you say to a prospective client? Maybe something that they don't know, they misunderstand about the work that you do. What sort of advice would you give them preemptively?
Sure. When people ask about what I do, I like to, attack the stigma around what I do, which is very often that it's a business that's all about money, because I can't undo an accident. I can't undo someone's injury. I can only help them through a difficult time. And that's really what it's about. And the misconception that I think a lot of people have about what I do is that, people come to me on what is very often the darkest day of their life. And it's not simply a matter of hiring a lawyer to get you compensated and move on with your life with some money. It's about, building back the pieces of your life that have kind of been torn down due to an accident, and mostly the things that weren't expected, like how to care for your children, how to earn a living, how to get your car repaired, something as simple as that, because people have, oftentimes not dealt with that before. And I try to make sure that people understand that it's a difficult journey, and, focusing on their health is most important for them. And, all the other nonsense that goes on, that's something better left to a professional and someone who's, really interested in handling that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those areas of law that I can only imagine like family law with divorces and child custody, things like that, is incredibly emotionally charged. And also, as you touched on, if there's, say, a serious disability as a result of an accident or something, this can change the entire family's life moving forward. So I can only imagine that a high degree of empathy and consultation is a big part of the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I would say with regard to a prospective client is that, if you are hurt or something like that, and you do have the possibility of having a case, it's not as though hiring a lawyer gets you into the throes of litigation. It's to have someone in your corner to make sure that things are being handled appropriately, deadlines that you have to meet for insurance and other things like that. So, protecting your rights is really, I think, the most important thing with regard to representation.
Right. As far as the insurance companies, would you recommend that somebody who is injured speaks to an attorney before they start dealing directly with insurance companies?
Invariably, yes.
Yeah.
An insurance company, even if it is your own insurance company, is concerned primarily with profitability. And if in some way they can compromise a person's claim in order to, retain more money for the company, uh, you know, they will do that. And I've seen them do that even for their own policyholders.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I figured that would be your answer, but I wanted to ask. Um, in terms of our core theme here with emerging tech, how are you currently thinking about AI in the field, and what are your overall impressions of how it's trending?
Sure. About 5, 6 years ago, around the time of COVID, we had seen the world really changing as far as people being able to do things from a remote setting, and also it was kind of before any aspect of AI as we knew it was infiltrating the practice. So with respect to technology, we had changed our case management software to be on a Salesforce run platform
Mhm.
called Litify, which we knew was going to allow us to, engage in and take advantage of the technology of the future. We were previously operating on a local system, not a CRM. We were doing things very old fashioned, and now that the way tech has developed and allowed lawyers to change the way not only they do their work but streamline their processes and also manage marketing, manage budgeting, manage staffing. It's just I've seen it come to light very significantly over the last year, and we're doing everything we can to explore what's out there, to leverage that in our favor.
Great. Are there so you mentioned case management. Are there any other particular ways that or applications of AI that you're using it right now?
Yeah, so one of the big things, the big ticket items of being a personal injury lawyer is that, the medical records are what would really tell the story of someone's injury. And the more seriously injured someone is, the more medical records there are likely to be. The more significant and contentious a case or litigation might be, the more documents and discovery there will be. So using AI to go through a lot of that, perform a really thorough review and analysis. It's very helpful to not only save time in attempting to review all those documents, but to also catch things that you otherwise wouldn't if you're reading it. A medical record, you may not catch a small thing in there that's noted. For example, you could be going through, and I'm shifting from a medical record to a discovery document. You could find something in a contract that through AI that you would have otherwise missed because you're reading a mundane contract and you're looking for things that you're trained to look for, but not the things that you're not trained to look for, but could help you anyway.
Yes, absolutely. What would you say that you're most excited about for where this technology is heading in the field?
I'm actually most excited for the unknown, to be honest with you.
Mm.
It's tough to say because I've really seen how helpful it could be, and it wasn't something I could have even conceived to believe 2 years ago, even. And so, just to the thought of where and how we can be doing things in a couple of years from now is exciting in and of itself. Because while many people are fearful in that regard, I feel more confident that the AI shift is going to be. Uh, I'm optimistic that we're going to be all using it for a positive, rather than to have it take everyone's jobs, as everyone's often fearful of. I'm just excited to see where it's going.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're overwhelmingly AI positive here.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be, like with any technological paradigm shift, there's going to be some shaking of the tree for sure, but even more so that this is pointed in a really amazing direction in terms of productivity and efficiency. So, um, is there anything that you, and this is completely hypothetical, is there anything that you think will look, uh, just like radically different to the way that everything is done in law right now? Like if we were to go out 5 years, some things may still look very similar or exactly the same. Some things may just completely be disrupted. Do you have any prediction as to what that might be?
You know, I can only really speak to my area of practice,
Mhm.
and the way I'll answer that question is that the majority of my cases end up in court, and court happens to be inefficient in its processes and allowing a case and its life cycle to proceed with any haste whatsoever. People are injured. They want their day in court, which is ultimately, the trial of their case at the end, and they want finality. My hope is that the court system really is able to leverage, the benefits of AI and allow it to, organize itself in a way that it can withstand the volume, in New York City courts of how many cases are really proceeding through the legal system. Because, those delays, which candidly were, probably slightly mismanaged during COVID, which the court system was not even remotely prepared for something like that. My hope is that they would be able to, get a system in place that allows cases to move forward and faster and, under better oversight. Because, every part of every court has different rules and timelines, and it's not uniform, and it's all coming down to humans managing, how those processes go. And I think that in a way, or in a system that's using AI, it can really be something that's done more efficiently.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I didn't even really thought of that. So in your field with personal injury, so if I understand correctly, it's still feeling the after effects of the backlog from COVID that's still impacting things today.
Yeah, it's not even something that the lawyers alone feel. It's actually something that the courts are often telling us directly and candidly. Hey, we still have these backlogs from COVID, and 5 years later, it's not really a good answer to get, and to have to relay to your client as to why their case is being delayed.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Um, Diving into your practice a little bit more, what would you say that you do exceptionally well at your firm that maybe sets you apart from others in the same domain?
I think that it's not even exclusive to me. It's actually my entire law firm. It's really built on the relationship that we have with each individual client. Like I had mentioned earlier, everyone's coming to us, or most people are coming to us on a very, very difficult time in their life. And sometimes it's more about being heard uh, than a good result. Because a good result's all well and good, but the relationship that we have with a client, it can last several years. I have cases in my inventory, some from 2018 or 19, and I have long relationships with these clients. And the communication and the understanding and the empathy is, I think, something I do really well. And, I always think to myself, I fell into the right field or area of law because I was really never the brainiac or the smartest guy. I've always been a hard worker, but my thing is people, and I get to communicate with them and be there for them and help them, and I enjoy it all the while. So enjoying it makes me, allows me to do it well.
Fantastic. What would you say if you had to pick one of your proudest moments you had for a client in terms of an outcome?
That's tough, but I often tell a story about a young man I represented who was hurt at a work event. And, without going into too many details, he was very badly hurt, multiple surgeries, and the the event that he was injured at was put on by a professional organization that he was a participant of, and the lawsuit that arose from that incident, it caused him a lot of strain, not only in terms of his physical health, but also he felt as though there was some movement within his industry to, in his words, blackball him and make it very difficult for him to get another job, while the lawsuit was going on. And that made me feel not only a little bit guilty in a way that I was, aggressively pursuing this case for him. Listen, it was his case. He chose to pursue it, and that's all well and good. But, ultimately, not only was this guy dealing with very bad injuries, and, he was also dealing with difficulty getting a job, or, any, clients, and he was in sales. So, ultimately, we had a really good result for him. It was a seven-figure recovery for him, which was really helpful in his life. And it really wasn't about the result. I kind of mentioned it earlier. It was that this guy had, I'd become a real confidant for him, and it helped him through a very difficult time. He was newly married, had his first child, and it was just a lot all at once for him. And I could tell that the conversations throughout the course of the case were not really all about the case. He was just looking for someone to understand where he was coming from. So,
yeah, that's a big piece of it. For the firm, in terms of growth, what stage? Obviously, you said 35 years the firm's been, right? So,
yeah.
What growth stage do you think you're in right now? And from the perspective of a managing partner, what's your target? Where are you trying to get to in, say, the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, so interestingly, even though the firm has been in operation for 30 plus years, we're actually, I think, in the most rapid state of growth right now. And that's really because of the way we've been able to use the technology in our favor. Historically and even today, we've relied heavily on personal and word of mouth referrals for our growth and for acquiring our cases. But now, with the ability to market in a particular way and leveraging, whether it's Google Ads or our organic marketing, we're really doing a good job of it with the help of all this technology. And our case retention rate has grown really rapidly over the last few months. So our goals for the next couple of years are to bring on more people. The next 12 months to bring on more people, but also to make sure that we're not growing so much as to give up that personal touch of service that I talk about as a really thing that we value a lot. So I would say the next 12 months look like growth, but steady, sustainable growth.
Yeah, makes sense. One of the things that comes up here on the podcast a lot is how important it is for firms that are very much focused on culture is to make sure that they don't violate that culture as they grow, and they keep the integrity of the current system. So, um, if you could hypothetically wave a magic wand and fix one thing in the business right now that might be an impediment to growth, slowing you down in some way, what would that be?
That's an interesting question. It's a very competitive area of the law. So I wouldn't wave the wand to reduce the competition because the competition is what drives, the ability to grow and the desire to grow and do well. But if I were to wave a magic wand, I think it would be the courts. Like I mentioned earlier, it really slows us up in terms of being able to do our best for our clients, and it's a very big pain point. And you know, there are products out there. One of them being, I think the company is called Case Status, and it sounds like what it is, which is that a client can have their own portal through this app, and I don't know how to describe it so well, but they could check the status of their case. And that's really useful because they could do that without feeling like they have to bother you, and not that anyone's ever bothering me, but to check the status of your case and see that there's very little progress, and that very little progress is due to the courts. Again, it makes it very difficult to do our job and explain to the client why that's happening and why their case is being delayed. So if I were to wave that magic wand, it would be to make the processes more efficient as far as moving the cases along.
Yeah, hopefully that will be here in the near future.
Yeah, I hope so.
Where I like to always wrap is on the personal question. So
Sure.
moving from business and technology, what would you say is your big kind of personal why motivation for what you do?
Two daughters. My kids are my whole life, and they are just, starting to get old enough where they could see that I'm doing something. They could understand that I go to work, and that I'm going to do a job, and it really makes me feel great and better about what I do than I ever had, knowing that my kids are thinking that I'm going to help people, which I really like a lot. And I'm mentioning my kids, but also my wife, of course, who is incredibly supportive of me. They're my three girls are my three Ys, that's for sure. And also, I really get a lot of intrinsic benefit from helping people. I know it's a little cliche sounding, but I really do love to help people, and I'm really grateful that I found a job that lets me do that. From the moment I walk in the door till the moment I walk out, and everywhere in between. Because as any personal injury lawyer will tell you, that you're always available. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So how can people best reach you, contact you, or any of the other members of the firm?
It's fortuitous timing for that question because I'm actually starting to, really get a little bit more out there, and maybe have some tips for me about how to get out there on social media from an individual standpoint on behalf of the firm. But the best way to get in touch with me would be to either email me or to go to our website and to find me. It's rllawyers.com, and jtaylor at rllawyers.com is my email. But you know what? I'm always available, even on my personal cell phone. So, I won't share it to the world right now, but that's usually the best way to get me.
Gotcha. And I'll make sure to put your email and the website in the description. So
That's great. I appreciate that.
all right. Well, thanks so much for today, Joseph. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you.